Chicken Soup for the Soul, reading number 7, with fulfillment summary intro. What is time? Time is not money. It's so much more than that. Time is more than precious. Time is life. Time and life are the same thing. Life is time. Time is life. Our source of creation doesn't know what money is. All our source knows is abundance. We already have everything that we need. Actually, we already have everything. Just being here on earth gives us everything that we know of. And more that we don't know of yet. Everything that you want is at the edge of your fingertips. Just reach out and get it. Money was created by man to see who has the ability to control and give them more power. And more specifically, don't think of it as controlling things, because you don't want to force control. Money was created by man to give people who have the ability to control the energy correctly to feel and use the energy of earth correctly, more power. You see what I'm saying? Everything on earth is energy. And money is currently a big part of the way that people have chosen to control the energy today. Money is being phased out as we're realizing more and more how unnecessary it is. With the development, just within the past 50 years, of food banks giving out free food, and within the past 5 or 10 years of giving out free food or free phones, and so on. I see Wi-Fi internet being free for everybody next. What else can we add to this? Free clothes? Check, we have that. This will continue more when we realize we're all helping each other. Soon enough, robots will be serving our food in restaurants, mowing our lawns, and doing almost everything else that we don't like doing. And when more of these kinds of things develop, the more we will realize that we don't need money. We just need the realization that helping others is what makes life worth living. Money is currently a byproduct of helping others, and it's currently a necessary tool for the development of a business or a relationship. Now, you don't ever want to tell someone or feel like you're wasting your time. That makes you feel like you're chasing when you feel like your time is limited. What you want to be feeling is that you're attracting what you want. Know that everything that you want is coming to you. When you feel like you're wasting your time, do something else. Turn off the TV, change the subject, politely wrap up the conversation. It's good to have something going and or charging as much as you can. Recharging your phone or yourself. And going means developing something. And now on that note, Chicken Soup for the Soul, reading number 7. What you are is as important as what you do. Here's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. Who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. Ralph Waldo Emerson. It was a sunny Saturday afternoon in Oklahoma City. My friend and proud father, Bobby Lewis, was taking his 2 little boys to play miniature golf. He walked up to the fellow at the ticket counter and said, "How much is it to get in?" The young man replied, $3 for you and $3 for any kid who's older than 6. We let them in free if they are 6 or younger. How old are they? Bobby replied. The lawyer's 3 and the doctor is 7, so I guess I owe you $6. The man at the ticket counter said, "Hey, mister, did you just win the lottery or something? You could have saved yourself $3. You could have told me that the older one was 6. I wouldn't have known the difference." Bobby replied, "Yes, that may be true. But the kids would have known the difference." As Ralph Waldo Emerson said, "Who you are speaks so loudly I can't hear what you're saying." In challenging times when ethics are more important than ever before, make sure you set a good example for everyone you work and live with. Patricia Fripp. Next story, it looks like another poem. It's titled, A Mom's Life. Take your plate into the kitchen, please. Take it downstairs when you go. Don't leave it there, take it upstairs. Is that yours? Don't hit your brother. I'm talking to you. Just a minute, please. Can't you see I'm talking? I said, don't interrupt. Did you brush your teeth? What are you doing out of bed? Go back to bed. You can't watch in the afternoon. What do you mean there's nothing to do? Go outside. Read a book. Turn it down. Get off the phone. Tell your friend you'll call her back right now. Hello? No, she's not home. She'll call you when she gets home. Take a jacket. Take a sweater. Take one anyway. Someone left his shoes in front of the TV. Get the toys out of the hall. Get the boys out of the bathtub. Get the toys off the stairs. Do you realize that could kill someone? Hurry up. Hurry up. Everyone's waiting. I'll count to 10, and then we're going without you. Did you go to the bathroom? If you don't go, you're not going. I mean it. Why didn't you go before you left? Can you hold it? What's going on back there? Stop it. I said stop it. I don't want to hear about it. Stop it, or I'm taking you home right now. That's it. We're going home. Give me a kiss. I need a hug. Make your bed. Clean up your room. Set the table. I need you to set the table. Don't tell me it's not your turn. Please move your chair into the table. Sit up. Just try a little. You don't have to eat the whole thing. Stop playing and eat. Would you watch what you're doing? Move your glass. It's too close to the edge. Watch it. More what? More, please. That's better. Just eat one bite of salad. You don't always get what you want. That's life. Don't argue with me. I'm not discussing this anymore. Go to your room. No, 10 minutes are not up. One more minute. How many times have I told you don't do that? Where did the cookies go? Eat the old fruit before you eat the new fruit. I'm not giving you mushrooms. I've taken all the mushrooms out, see? Is your homework done? Stop yelling. If you want to ask me something, come here. Stop yelling. If you want to ask me something, come here. I'll think about it. Not now. Ask your father. We'll see. Don't sit so close to the television. It's bad for your eyes. Calm down. Calm down and start over. Is that the truth? Fasten your seatbelt. Did everyone fasten their seatbelts? I'm sorry, that's the rule. I'm sorry, that's the rule. I'm sorry, that's the rule. Delia Ephron. Yeah, that really makes me want to have a whole bunch of kids. Where's all the good stuff? Okay, the next one's titled The Perfect American Family. It's 10:30 on a perfect Saturday morning, and we are, for the moment, the perfect American family. My wife has taken our 6-year-old to his first piano lesson. Our 14-year-old has not yet roused from his slumber. The 4-year-old watches tiny anthropomorphic beings hurl one another from cliffs in the other room. I sit at the kitchen table reading the newspaper. Aaron Malaki, the 4-year-old, apparently bored by the cartoon carnage and the considerable personal power obtained by holding the television's remote control, enters my space. I'm hungry, he says. Want some more cereal? No. Want some yogurt? No. Want some eggs? No. Can I have some ice cream? No. For all I know, ice cream may be far more nourishing than processed cereal or antibiotic-laden eggs. But according to my cultural values, it's wrong to have ice cream at 10:45 on a Saturday morning. She's wrong. The antibiotic eggs are healthier than the ice cream. Ice cream has no healthy value to it. Everybody knows this. There's good fat in the eggs. Even though you bought the cheap ones, it's still better than the ice cream. Even though you bought the cheap ones, they're still better than the ice cream. Okay. Your brain is largely fat. The egg yolks are good for that. The egg whites don't have much nutritional value, if any nutritional value, but the yolk is good. Anyway, all right. Back to the book. Silence. About 4 seconds. Quote, Daddy, we have very much of life left, don't we? Yes, we have lots of life left, Aaron. Me and you and Mommy, that's right. And Isaac, yes. And Ben, yes. You and me and Mommy and Isaac and Ben. We have very much of life left. Until all the people die. What do you mean? Until all the people die and the dinosaurs come back. Aaron sits down on the table, cross-legged, like a Buddha, in the center of my newspaper. What do you mean, Aaron, until all the people die? You said everybody dies. When everybody dies, then the dinosaurs will come back. The cavemen lived in caves, dinosaur caves. Then the dinosaurs came back and squished them. I realized that already for Aaron, life is a limited economy, a resource with a beginning and an end. He envisions himself and us somewhere along that trajectory, a trajectory that ends in uncertainty and loss. I am faced with an ethical decision. What should I do now? Should I attempt to give him God, salvation, eternity? Should I toss him some spiel like, your body is just a shell, and after you die, we will all be together in spirit forever? Or do I want to leave him with his uncertainty and his anxiety because I think it's real? Do I want to try to make him an anxious existentialist, or do I want to try to make him feel better? I don't know. I stare at the newspaper. The Celtics are consistently losing on Friday nights. Larry Bird is angry at somebody, but I can't see who because Aaron's foot is in the way. I don't know, but my neurotic, addictive, middle-class sensibility is telling me that this is a very important moment. A moment when Aaron's ways of constructing his world are being formed. Or maybe my neurotic, addictive, middle-class sensibility is just making me think that. No, it is an important moment. Yes, this is very important. Yes. Introduce him to God. I'm talking off the book. This is a time when you want to introduce him to God, or whatever your family wants to call God, a higher power. This is when you want to introduce him to a higher power. When he's asking, he's looking up to you for the answer. Give him a good answer. You're never alone. Yes. We're going to be gone. Our bodies and human form will be gone, and our spirit lives on forever. Our spirit will go back to where we came from. Give him hope. Give him faith. When he's asking for it, you're never alone. Let him know that you're never alone. You always have someone guiding you. You can always take a deep breath, close your eyes, and look within for the answers to your most important questions. Find the guidance within. Find your guidance from within. This is when you want to tell him those kinds of things. Don't focus on how everything dies. Focus on how you have guidance within from your source of creation. Tell him that who you really are is not this body that you're living in. Who you really are is the spirit who has taken over this body temporarily to do good in this world. Something like that. To help others. You're here to help others. How can you help others? How do you like to help others? How would you like to help others? If you don't know the answer to that, then these are your most important questions. These are what you want to close your eyes and ask for those answers from within, for your guidance when you're calm and relaxed. I'm trying to figure out where I was in the book. I don't know, but my neurotic, addictive, middle-class sensibility is telling me that this is a very important moment. A moment, I don't know, my neurotic, addictive, middle-class sensibility is telling me that this is a very important moment. A moment when Aaron's ways of constructing his world are being formed. Or maybe my neurotic, addictive, middle-class sensibility is just making me think that. It's an important moment. If life and death are an illusion, then why would I trifle? Why would I want to trifle with how someone else understands them? To help them. To reassure them. To comfort them. Back to the book. On the table, Aaron plays with an, quote, army guy, raising his arms and balancing him on his shaky legs. It was Kevin McHale that Larry Bird was angry at. No, not Kevin McHale. It was Jerry Sitching. Who cares? But Jerry Sitching is no longer with the Celtics. Whatever happened to Jerry, who cares? Everything dies. Everything comes to an end. Jerry Sitching is playing for Sacramento or Orlando, or he has disappeared. I don't want to trifle with how Aaron understands life and death, because I want him to have a solid sense of structure, a sense of the permanence of things. Wrong answer. It's obvious what a good job the nuns and priests did with me. It was agony or bliss. Heaven and hell were not connected by long-distance service. You were on God's team, or you were on the soup, or you were in the soup, and the soup was hot. I don't want Aaron to get burned, but I want him to have a strong frame. The neurotic but unavoidable anxiety can come later. No. No. Is that possible? Is it possible to have a sense that God, spirit, karma, Y star W star H, capital Y star capital W star capital H, something, whatever that's supposed to mean, is transcendent without traumatizing the presentness of a person, without beating it into them, without beating it into them. Can we have our cake and eat it too? Ontologically speaking? Or is there fragile sensibility, their, quote, theirs, sundered by such an act? Sensing a slight increase in agitation on the table, I know that Aaron is becoming bored with his guy, with an attitude of drama benefiting the moment. I clear my throat and begin with a professional tone. Aaron, death is something that some people believe. ... Dad, Aaron interrupts. Can we play a video game? It's not a violent game, he explains, hands gesticulating. It's not like a killing game. The guys just kind of flop over. Yes, I say with some relief. Let's play video games. But first, there's something else we have to do. What? Aaron stops and turns from where he has run, already halfway to the arcade. First, let's have some ice cream. Another perfect Saturday for a perfect family for now. Michael Murphy. Michael Murphy is not doing a good job here. Michael Murphy could be doing a much better job here. Michael Murphy. Okay. First of all, I want to say here that Michael Murphy seeing that his kid wants to go play video games instead of talk about our higher power is not a relief. No. When your kid comes to you and wants to talk about death and higher power stuff, be thankful for that moment, because your kid is seeking the correct guidance. Now you can tell them the stuff I was saying before about how you have a higher power, your spirit is what's real more than your body. You're never alone. You can always look to your spirit for guidance when you're calm, breathing deeply by yourself. Or it could be done with a group of people, just looking within. That was a perfect opportunity to introduce that to your kid. Celebrate that moment. You want to celebrate those moments. On the next page, there's a bird with a backpack looking at another bird. This bird is wearing a backpack on a tree branch and looking at another bird that's talking to the bird wearing the backpack. And the bird, I guess, is talking to this with his beak open, is I guess the one saying the words underneath. The trouble with you, Sheldon, is you lack self-confidence. The bird lacks self-confidence because it's wearing a backpack, apparently. Okay, whatever. Because everything you need is provided to you. Everything you need just comes to you. You don't have to bring it in a backpack. It comes to you. It's always, whatever you need is everywhere. Whatever you want is everywhere you go. Something like that. The next story is titled, Just Say It. And it begins with a quote from, it's spelled Stephen. I guess that can be pronounced Stephen. Last name is Levine. Levin. We're going to go with Stephen Levin. It says, if you were going to die soon and had only one phone call you could make, who would you call and what would you say? And why are you waiting? That's the end of the quote. One night, after reading one of the hundreds of parenting books I've read, I was feeling a little guilty because the book had described some parenting strategies I hadn't used in a while. The main strategy was to talk with your child and use those 3 magic words, I love you. It had stressed over and over that children need to know that unconditionally and unequivocally that you really love them. I went upstairs to my mom's bedroom, son, it says son. I went upstairs to my son's bedroom and knocked on the door. As I knocked, all I could hear were his drums. I knew he was there, but he wasn't answering. So I opened the door, and sure enough, there he was sitting with his earphones on, listening to a tape and playing his drums. After I leaned over to get his attention, I said to him, Tim, have you got a second? He said, oh, sure, Dad. I'm always good for one. We proceeded to sit down, and after about 15 minutes and a lot of small talk and stuttering, I just looked at him and said, Tim, I really love you I really love the way you play the drums. He said, oh, thanks, Dad. I appreciate it. I walked out of the door and said, see you later. As I was walking downstairs, it dawned on me that I went up there with a certain message and had not delivered it. I felt it was really important to get back up there and have another chance to say those 3 magic words. Again, I climbed the stairs, knocked on the door, and opened it. You got a second, Tim? Sure, Dad. I'm always good for a second or two. What do you need? Son, the first time I came up here to share a message with you, something else came out. It really wasn't what I wanted to share with you. Tim, do you remember when you were learning how to drive? It caused me a lot of problems. I wrote 3 words and slipped them under your pillow in hopes that would take care of it. Sorry about that. Hopes that would take care of it. All right. What was on the note? Did it say I love you on the note in hopes that would take care of it? Your pillow in hopes that would take care of it. I'd done my part as a parent and expressed my love to my son. Finally, after a little small talk, I looked at him and said, "What I want you to know is that we love you." He looked at me and said, "Oh, thanks, Dad. That's you and Mom." I said, "Yeah, that's both of us. We just don't express it enough." He said, "Thanks. That means a lot. I know you do." I turned around and walked out the door. As I was walking downstairs, I started thinking, I can't believe this. I've already been up there twice. I know what the message is, and yet something else comes out of my mouth. I decided I'm going back there now and let Tim know exactly how I feel. He's going to hear directly from me. I don't care if he is 6 feet tall. So back I go. Knock on the door, and he yells, "Wait a minute. Don't tell me who it is." "Could that be you, Dad?" I said, "How'd you know that?" And he responded, "I've known you ever since you were a parent, Dad." Then I said, "Son, have you got just one more second? You know I'm good for one, so come on in. I suppose you didn't tell me what you wanted to tell me." I said, "How'd you know that?" "I've known you ever since I was in diapers," I said. "Well, here it is, Tim, what I've been holding back on. I just want to express to you how special you are to our family. It's not what you do, and it's not what you've done, like all the things you're doing with the junior high kids in town. It's who you are as a person. I love you, and I just wanted you to know I love you. And I don't know why I hold back on something so important." He looked at me and he said, "Hey, Dad, I know you do, and it's really special hearing you say it to me. Thanks so much for your thoughts, as well as the intent." As I was walking out the door, he said, "Oh, hey, Dad, have you got another second?" I started thinking, oh no, what's he going to say to me? I said, "Oh, sure, I'm always good for one." I don't know where kids get this. I'm sure it couldn't be from their parents, but he said, "Dad, I just want to ask you one question." I said, "What's that?" He looked at me and said, "Dad, have you been to a workshop or something like that?" I'm thinking, oh no, like any other 18-year-old, he's got my number. And I said, "No, I was reading a book, and it said how important it is to tell your kids how you really feel about them." "Hey, thanks for taking the time. Talk to you later, Dad." I think what Tim taught me more than anything else that night is that the only way you can understand the real meaning and purpose of love is to be willing to pay the price. You have to go out there and risk sharing it. Gene Bedley. The next story is titled A Legacy of Love. As a young man, Al was a skilled artist, a potter. He had a wife and 2 fine sons. One night, his oldest son developed a severe stomach ache. Thinking it was only some common intestinal disorder, neither Al nor his wife took the condition very seriously. But the malady was actually acute appendicitis, and the boy died suddenly that night. Knowing the death could have been prevented if he had only realized the seriousness of the situation, Al's emotional health deteriorated under the enormous burden of his guilt. To make matters worse, his wife left him a short time later, leaving him alone with his 6-year-old younger son. The hurt and pain of the 2 situations were more than Al could handle, and he turned to alcohol to help him cope. In time, Al became an alcoholic. As the alcoholism progressed, Al began to lose everything he possessed: his home, his land, his art objects, everything. Eventually, Al died alone in a San Francisco motel room. When I heard of Al's death, I reacted with the same disdain the world shows for one who ends their life with nothing material to show for it. I thought, what a complete failure. What a totally wasted life. As time went by, I began to reevaluate my earlier harsh judgment. You see, I knew Al's now adult son, Ernie. He is one of the kindest, most caring, most loving men I have ever known. I watched Ernie with his children and saw the free flow of love between them. I knew that kindness and caring had to come from somewhere. I hadn't heard Ernie talk much about his father. It is so hard to defend an alcoholic. One day I worked up my courage to ask him. I said, I'm really puzzled by something. I know your father was basically the only one to raise you. What on earth did he do that you became such a special person? Ernie sat quietly and reflected for a few moments. Then he said, from my earliest memories as a child until I left home at 18, Al came into my room every night, gave me a kiss and said, I love you, son. Tears came to my eyes as I realized what a fool I had been to judge Al as a failure. He had not left any material possessions behind, but he had been a kind, loving father, and he left behind one of the finest, most giving men I have ever known, Bobby G, winning the image game. So again, it just says underneath Bobby G, the words winning the image game that are capitalized. So I don't know if that means that this is from a book called Winning the Image Game, or maybe, I guess that's just what I don't know, because it's titled something else. It's titled A Legacy of Love. And then at the bottom of it, it says, capitalized, the first letter of each word, winning the image game. Whatever. Bobby G, G-E-E. The next story is titled On Parenting. It looks like it's another poem. Oh, it's by Khalil Gibran. How about that? It's a pretty short one. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of capital life's longing for itself. They come through you and not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love and not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies and not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them and seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the boughs from which, or boughs, B-O-W-S, you are the boughs from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. Bows, yes. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and they bend you with their might, that their arrows might go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness, for even as they love the arrow that flies, so they love also the bow that is stable. Khalil Gibran. And I replaced but with and a bunch of times because I didn't want to negate the positive thing that was said before that. And I replaced he with they a few times there, like three times or something, like a few times there because, yeah, a few times because I didn't want to, because it looked like it could apply to a mother as well as a father. Okay. The next section of the book is titled On Learning. Section 4. It says, the whole page, it says 4 in big, all capital letters, on learning, with a big, huge 4, the number 4. 4, on learning. And on this page is a poem, it looks like, by Richard Bach. Learning is finding out what you already know. Doing is demonstrating that you know it. Teaching is reminding others that they know it just as well as you. You are all learners, doers, teachers. Robert Bach. Okay, this next one is, it looks like it's a picture that some kid wrote. So I'm going to try to read all of these words because it's a picture of a kid's writing. So I'll do my best here. Looks like it says at the top, building me a future. And building is spelled B-I-L-D-I-N-G. And future is spelled F-E-W-C-H-R. Building me a future. Dear teacher. Okay, so a lot of these words are misspelled. I'm not gonna, okay, I'm just gonna say what I think that, okay. Dear teacher. T-E-A-C-H-R. Okay. Today, Mommy cried. Mommy asked me, Jody, do you really know why you are going to school? I said, I didn't know why. She said, it is 'cause we are going to be building me a future. F-E-W-C-H-R. I said, what is a future? What's one look like? W-A-T-S. What's one look like? Mommy said, I don't know, Jody. No one can really see all your future, just you. Don't worry, 'cause you'll see. That's when she cued and see. Oh, Jody, I love you. So, whatever that says. Who knows? Who cares? Mommy says everyone need to work really hard for us kids to make our futures the nicest ones the world can offer. Teacher, can we start today to build me a future? Can you try especially hard to make it a nice, pretty one just for Mommy and for me? I love you, teacher. Love you in a heart. Love, Jody, with a sunshine in a house. Picture of a little sunshine in a house. Next story is titled, I Like Myself Now. Beginning with a quote from my original mentor, Wayne Dyer. Once you see a child's self-image begin to improve, you will see significant gains in achievement areas. But even more important, you will see a child who is beginning to enjoy life more. Once you see a child's self-image begin to improve, you will see significant gains in achievement areas, and even more important, you will see a child who is beginning to enjoy life more. Wayne Dyer. I had a great feeling of relief when I began to understand that a youngster needs more. Okay, this is titled I Like Myself Now. I like myself now. I had a great feeling of relief when I began to understand that a youngster needs more than just subject matter. I know mathematics well, and I teach it well. This isn't Wayne Dyer anymore. This is a teacher quoted by Everett Shoestrom in Man, the Manipulator, whatever that means. I know mathematics well, and I teach it well. I used to think that was all I needed to do. Now I teach children, not math. I accept the fact that I can only succeed partially with some of them. When I don't have to know all the answers, I seem to have more answers than when I tried to be the expert. The youngster who really made me understand this was Eddie. I asked him one day why he thought he was doing so much better than last year. He gave meaning to my whole new orientation. Quote, "It's because I like myself now when I'm with you," he said. That's great. A teacher quoted by Everett Shoestrom in Man, capitalized Man, the Manipulator. Whatever that means. Next story is titled All Good Things. The next story is titled All the Good Things. All the Good Things. The title of the next story is All the Good Things. He was in the 3rd grade class I taught at St. Mary's School in Morris, Minnesota. All 34 of my students were dear to me. But Mark Eklund was one in a million. Very neat in appearance. He had that happy to be alive attitude that made even his occasional mischievousness delightful. Mark also talked incessantly. I tried to remind him again and again that talking without permission was not acceptable. What impressed me so much, though, was the sincere response every time I had to correct him for misbehaving. Quote, "Thank you for correcting me, sister." I didn't know what to make of it at first, but before long I became accustomed to hearing it many times a day. One morning my patience was growing thin when Mark talked once too often. I made a novice teacher's mistake. I looked at Mark and said, "If you say one more word, I am going to tape your mouth shut." It wasn't 10 seconds later when Chuck blurted out, "Mark is talking again." I hadn't asked any of the students to help me watch Mark, but since I had stated the punishment in front of the class, I had to act on it. No. I remember the scene as if it had occurred this morning. I walked to my desk very deliberately, opened the drawer, and took out a roll of masking tape. No. Without saying a word, I proceeded to Mark's desk, tore off 2 pieces of tape, and made a big X with them over his mouth. I then returned to the front of the room. As I glanced at Mark to see how he was doing, he winked at me. That did it. I started laughing. The entire class cheered as I walked back to Mark's desk, removed the tape, and shrugged my shoulders. His first words were, "Thank you for correcting me, sister." At the end of the year, I was asked to teach junior high math. The years flew by, and before I knew it, Mark was in my classroom again. He was more handsome than ever, and just as polite. Since he had to listen carefully to my instruction in the, quote, new math, he did not talk as much in 9th grade. One Friday, things just didn't feel right. We had worked hard on a new concept all week, and I sensed that the students were growing frustrated with themselves and edgy with one another. I had to stop this crankiness before it got out of hand. So I asked them to list the names of the other students in the room on 2 sheets of paper, leaving a space between each name. Then I told them to think of the nicest thing they could say about each of their classmates and write it down. It took the remainder of the class period to finish the assignment. But as the students left the room, each one handed me their paper. Chuck smiled. Mark said, "Thank you for teaching me, sister. Have a good weekend." That Saturday, I wrote down the name of each student on a separate sheet of paper, and it listed what everyone else had said about that individual. On Monday, I gave each student his or her list. Some of them ran 2 pages. Before long, the entire class was smiling. Quote, "Really?" I heard whispered. "Oh, really?" I heard whispered. I never knew that meant anything to anyone. I didn't know others liked me so much! Exclamation mark. No one ever mentioned those papers in class again. I never knew if they discussed them after class or with their parents. But it didn't matter. The exercise had accomplished its purpose. The students were happy with themselves and one another again. That group of students moved on. Several years later, after I had returned from a vacation, my parents met me at the airport. As we were driving home, Mother asked the usual questions about the trip, how the weather was, my experiences in general. There was a slight lull in the conversation. Mother had gave Dad a sideways glance. Wouldn't it be given? Mother had given Dad a sideways glance and simply said, "Dad?" My father cleared his throat, quote, "The Eklunds called last night," he began. "Really?" I said. "I haven't heard from them for several years. I wonder how Mark is." Dad responded quietly. He said, "Mark was killed in Vietnam. The funeral is tomorrow, and his parents would like it if you could attend." To this day, I can still point to the exact spot on I-494 where Dad told me about Mark. I had never seen a serviceman in a military coffin before. Mark looked so handsome, so mature. All I could think at that moment was, "Mark, I would give all the masking tape in the world if only you could talk to me." The church was packed with Mark's friends. Chuck's sister sang the battle hymn of the Republic. Why did it have to rain on the day of the funeral? It was difficult enough at the graveside. The pastor said the usual prayers, and the bugler played, the bugler played tapes. played taps. One by one, those who loved Mark took a last walk by the coffin and sprinkled it with holy water. I was the last one to bless the coffin. As I stood there, one of the soldiers who had acted as a pallbearer came up to me. He asked, "Were you Mark's math teacher?" I nodded as I continued to stare at the coffin. He said, "Mark talked about you a lot." After the funeral, most of Mark's former classmates headed to Chuck's farmhouse for lunch. Mark's mother and father were there, obviously waiting for me. His father said, taking a wallet out of his pocket, "We want to show you something. They found this on Mark when he was killed. We thought you might recognize it." Opening the billfold, he carefully removed 2 worn pieces of notebook paper that had obviously been taped, folded and refolded many times. I knew without looking at the papers. I knew without looking that the papers were the ones on which I had listed all the good things each of Mark's classmates had said about him. Quote, "Thank you so much." Okay. Mark's mother said, "Thank you so much for doing that." As you can see, Mark treasured it. Mark's classmates started to gather around us. Chuck smiled rather sheepishly and said, "I still have my list. It's in the top drawer of my desk at home." John's wife said, "John asked me to put his in our wedding album." Marilyn said, "I have mine too. It's in my diary." Then Vicky, another classmate, reached into her pocketbook, took out her wallet, and showed her worn and frazzled list to the group. "I carry this with me at all times," Vicky said without batting an eyelash. "I think we all saved our lists." That's when I finally sat down and cried. I cried for Mark and for all his friends who would never see him again. Helen P. Marasla. The next story is titled, "You Are a Marvel," on page 129. That's where I'll begin the next reading. Chicken Soup for the Soul, reading number 7, with fulfillment summary intro. What is time? Time is not money. It's so much more than that. Time is more than precious. Time is life. Time is life. Time and life are the same thing. Life is time. Time is life. Our source of creation doesn't know what money is. All our source knows is abundance. We already have everything that we need. Actually, we already have everything. We already have everything here on Earth. It's all right here. That we know of. And more that we don't know of yet. Everything that you want is at the edge of your fingertips. Just reach out and get it. Just reach out and get it. Money was created by man to see who has the ability to control and give them more power. And more specifically, okay, don't think of it as controlling things, because you don't want to force control. Money was created by man to give people who have the ability to control the energy correctly to more power, feel and use the energy of Earth correctly. More power. You see what I'm saying?
The
trouble with
everything
you
on earth
is
is
you lack
energy.
self-confidence.
And money is currently a big part of the way that people have chosen to control the energy.
Everything
today.
is energy. Everything is energy.
Money is being phased out as we're realizing more and more how unnecessary it is. With the development, just within the past 50 years, of food banks giving out free food, and within the past like 5 or 10 years of giving out free food or free phones.
Yeah, free
And
phones.
so on. I see Wi-Fi internet being free for everybody next.
Yeah.
What else can we add to this? Free clothes?
Check.
Check.
Got
We have
that.
that. This will continue more when we realize we're all helping each other. Soon enough, robots will be serving our food in restaurants,
Yeah.
mowing our lawns, and doing almost everything else that we don't like doing.
Thank you.
When more of these kinds of things develop, the more we will realize that we don't need money.
We don't need
We just
money.
need the realization that helping others is what makes life worth living.
Yes.
Money is currently a byproduct of helping others.
Currently.
And it's currently a necessary tool for the development of a business or a relationship. Now, you don't ever want to tell someone or feel like you're wasting your time. That makes you feel like you're chasing when you feel like your time is limited.
Embrace
What you want to be
expansion.
feeling is that you're attracting what you want. Know that everything that you want is coming to you. When you feel like you're wasting your time, do something else. Turn off the TV, change the subject, politely wrap up the conversation. It's good to have something going and or charging as much as you can. Recharging your phone or yourself. And going means developing something. And now on that note, Chicken Soup for the Soul, reading number 7.